Hi guys, my name is Antony Cummins and welcome to this. Today we are going to review Stephen Nojiri's book. Now if you don't know, I am actually quite good friends with Stephen Nojiri. He is from America and he is First Nations, which I think is the polite way of saying Native American Indian. I don't know. I've never come across that term before. But he is married into the Nojiri family, which are Japanese Americans, and he is the author of now 2 books. Both books have been self-published, which is fine. That's how he's going about it. That's no problem. And what I'm going to do is take you through his second book. So, today we're going to do Sacred Conspiracy, a commentary to the Fukushima Ryu Shinobi no Maki by Stephen Nojiri. Now, that was his first book, In Praise of Spies. They are both done on CreateSpace, which is Amazon's self-publishing platform. Now, this is, as you can see, it's in what's called perfect bound form. It's paperback. It's, I love this, to be honest. I really, really like this setup, this black and white setup. What I don't like, though, is Stephen has still not got the concept of resolution in photographs. If you look, the photographs are slightly out of resolution. They're just slightly digitalized, which is, you know, I don't think that's good enough for a front cover. However, that being said, you know, he's getting better at these things. But overall, the book is a nice looking addition to your shelf with some beautiful, nice logos of his, you know, his own stamp, his own product stamped on the back. So that's a good start. So what is the book about? Sacred Conspiracy, very academic title, isn't it? Now, if you don't know who I am or you don't know, basically I do historical research into the ninja, and I was contacted a while ago by a gentleman. He knew I'd been looking for ninja scrolls, and I've been searching for a ninja scroll called the Fukushima Ryu Shinobi no Maki in different types, and I nearly got it a few times. But this gentleman came and he said he had actually had some photocopies out from the 90s, so he very kindly just gave them to me. I was ecstatic, and of course I had to pass them on to Nojiri, because if you don't know, the Fukushima clan were heavily connected to the Nojiri family. Now, the author's name is also Nojiri, so this should be now ringing bells of like, what? So, the Nojiri are famous in the ninja world. They're basically samurai, and they wrote the Fukushima Ryu ninjutsu manuals, or, you know, they were involved with it. And Stephen married into the Nojiri family, so he's very interested in the Nojiri lineage. And of course, you know, he has connections. He's now technically, I think, the male head of the family, because they're, you know, Japanese and they run like that. So Stephen, I am publishing the Fukushima Ryu ninja scroll in this book. But I also gave Stephen the opportunity to do his own commentary on it, so other people could have the experience of his research, because I am simply just translating and publishing the scroll itself. I am not doing a commentary on it. So Stephen took that, and we had an agreement where he would produce this book before mine came out, and mine is now on Amazon pre-order and his is now out now. So you can actually read the full scroll here. So do I like the book? Actually, I think it's much better than his first book, In Praise of Spies. I personally think this is a much, much better book. It's got better content and it's got a better commentary. I would absolutely recommend it. I think it's a superb addition to the world of the ninja. Now, first of all, it starts with, and I'm afraid to say, and Stephen knows I'm going to say this, a boring episode on the Southern and Northern Court. Now, to cut a very, very long story short, basically there was vying for power between the emperor and the different clans and the people. It's called the Kemu Restoration, where the Kusunoki family get involved and they try and wrestle it back, power back for people. And it gets all very, very, very complicated. But basically, there's a divide between power, and there's a power struggle. And most of academic history follows a certain path. Now, you have to be aware, Stephen is giving an alternative history. He is not giving the generally prescribed version of it. He's working from alternative history theories, if you will. And I'm not saying that's bad, I'm just saying you should be aware of that. So you have to remember that Stephen is giving you an alternative version of history. He's also giving you his commentary on the skills of Fukushima. Remember, that's his opinion on them. Now, I think his opinion is excellent in most places. Now, everybody says that in review, you know, other people who are researching say, I agree with him in the main, but of course I have places I don't agree with him, but we're not going to focus on those. We're just simply going to say, I think he's done a great job, and I agree with almost most of what he's saying. I think it's superb. What he has done in this book is taken the spells and the scrolls and everything, and he's pulled it into pieces and said, well, this is what it means, this is where this spell is from, this is the context this is in, this, like for example, he says in here, you have to pick a certain plant on a certain day at a certain time, and he tells you that that certain day at that certain time means this in the Japanese calendar, and because it means this, it's associated with that god, which means we know what deity the god is trying to get, we know what deity the shinobi is trying to get his power from. So he gives you all this background to the scroll, which just makes what could seem like hocus pocus and, you know, abracadabra style magic become a lot more realistic and a lot more colourful, because you realise that these are real people who actually have these beliefs, and they're not just, you know, random Macbeth style spells. They actually have a solid background beneath them. So I'm not going to prattle on too long about that. In short, you need to read the scroll itself with Stephen's commentary, because I think he's done a great job, in all honesty. And while I wouldn't say everything is 100% correct, I would say you're definitely going to learn from it. You're definitely going to be put in a new direction, and you're definitely going to appreciate the ninja. I study the ninja 24/7, and I was reading it and thinking, yes, Stephen, yep, it's really just built that really solid image in my head of, you know, this gets away from this two-dimensional figure and becomes really three-dimensional as a human who has beliefs, who has history behind him, who has the idea of these magical rituals and what, you know, the gods can help him. It really brings the world of the samurai and the ninja into life. Now, on top of this, after he's finished the Fukushima scroll, he goes on to talk about the Kusunoki Ryu scroll. He says that Kusunoki Ryu and Fukushima Ryu are connected. Now, I am not sure about this. I generally don't know whether that is going to be true or not true. I am not sure. But he then combines, you know, some Kusunoki things in there. Now, Kusunoki Ryu is very important to me because I am producing the Nato Ryu documents, which of course are a branch of Kusunoki Ryu. And I think it's an excellent look to see, you know, a bit more behind Kusunoki. And Stephen knows a lot about Kusunoki Masashige, a lot. So I think it's very good that he's put this in. But saying that, I think he's maybe chosen the wrong aspect. He says, I'm not going to give you skills, I'm going to give you like a social political background on it. And I'm like, no, Stephen, no, give us the skills. If you don't know, I am more interested in what the samurai did on a day-to-day basis than I am in, you know, their political agenda of it. You know, the stereotypical history. It's not really what I want to know. I want to get my teeth into what they actually did. So while the Kusunoki bit is excellent in Stephen's book, and he does give a slight bit of the actual techniques, I would say it's a missed opportunity. That is a place where you should have gone in, Stephen, deep into Kusunoki tactics. It could have really, really, really given you a solid ending there. But still, the stuff is interesting. However, so I've praised Stephen's book, I've said it's amazing, you should buy it, without doubt you should buy it. But what do I find is wrong with it? I think no review is correct without saying what's wrong. And if people say what's wrong, but it's not a lot, then you know you've got a good book. So my problems with Stephen's book are this, but to him, he knew about this and he understood he was not doing a purely academic book. He has put his own beliefs in there, and by beliefs I mean spiritual beliefs. He is a practicing Buddhist, and he has placed clearly language that means he believes in gods, he believes in the spirits, and he believes in this. Now, I think that should not be mixed in with historical research. You cannot mix historical research and personal religious beliefs. I never do that. You'll never find that in my work, and I just find it doesn't fit well. So Stephen talks from the angle that you will anger ghosts. If you do this, you will get this ghost. It's like it's real. Now, of course, you know, I think that just messes with the flow of the book, and I don't think it should be in there. If you don't mind that, then it's not a problem. But of course, you have to realise that Stephen obviously places this belief in gods and ghosts in the book. Second is the oral tradition. Now, this is actually a big issue. remember, please remember, Stephen Nojiri is my friend. I speak to him on Skype. I know him very, very well. So, you know, I'm not having a go. But Stephen has said that everybody knows now he's married into the Nojiri family, so he has a connection to this scroll. But he says he's been passed on a tradition. He openly admits it's not a big tradition. And to me, he's been talking about his passed on tradition for years and years, and I never bring it up. But now he's made it public. In full public, in full, you know, recorded history, recorded document. He now says he is the inheritor of a tradition of Nojiri Ryu, which means he has oral kuden, blah, blah, blah. That is a big claim. That is a big claim. Now, I'm not saying whether I believe him or don't believe him. That's not the issue. But it means that Stephen has joined a few people in the world. There is Krista from Budo Ryu. There is Greg Park. There is Kawakami, and there's a couple of other people like that who claim to be passed on actual historical ninjutsu from a traditional line. Now, this is where we have to say put up or shut up. So Stephen has said this, which means we have to say, okay, Stephen, let's prove you are connected to the Nojiri family. Let's see some birth certificates. Let's see some marriage certificates to the Nojiri. Let's see some photos of your ancestors. Let's see, you know, the books they brought with them from Japan. Of course, none of this will be ninjutsu. He's openly said he has no documentation about ninjutsu. They just have family stories. And it's only a small amount of family stories. So I find it a little bit difficult where Stephen in the book says, or family tradition says this, because I gave him the scroll, but now he has oral tradition on it, which means basically either he's lying or the stuff in the scrolls has continued in the Nojiri clan and some of them match and they've changed or whatever, but the point is that's a big claim. So I'm not calling Stephen a liar by any means. I'm just saying you should be aware that when he says he is from the Nojiri family, he has the oral traditions, you have to ask, because you have to ask everyone, says who, prove it, or you take it with a pinch of salt. So again, no insult to Stephen whatsoever, but now he's put it down on full record, he has to be ready for people to say, let's prove you are connected to the Nojiri family, which to be honest would be easy. He could just pull out the birth certificates of his wife, pull out marriage certificates, pull out you know, pictures and photos of his, you know, the people there in Japan, but of course not just random people. You'd have to prove that who they were and their birth certificates or their immigration certificates, even a photo of their passport with Nojiri on it. They're all American Japanese now, so that should be dead easy for him to do. He could block out the passport numbers, blah blah blah. So I'm not going to harp on much longer on that. I just want you to know that where Stephen says this is oral tradition, it's, you know, this is, you got to be like, okay, do we believe him, do we not believe him? It's a case of belief. Do you or do you not believe? That's up to you. So what can we round up? So in short, you've got here a scroll that is coming out in my book anyway, and Stephen did harp on a bit about how the differences between mine and Yoshi's translation and his translation, and to be honest, the differences are not many. But I would agree that Stephen has got some great extra information there that we didn't even think about, and some stuff there where you think, yep, no, Stephen, that is a great idea. I agree with that. You've got a nice bit on Kusunoki Ryu, but I think there's just too much on the northern court political agenda for me here, but Stephen knows this and everybody knows I really don't agree with that. You shouldn't bring your own political agenda into, you know, your book. You should keep it pure. So keep your political ideas out and keep your religious ideas out. Just make it history.